Shimla Agreement, 1970 to a detailed overview. The Shimla Agreement is a significant bilateral agreement between India and Pakistan, signed on 3 July 1972 in Shimla, Himachal Pradesh. The agreement was signed between Indira Gandhi, the Prime Minister of India, and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the President of Pakistan. Its purpose was to normalize relations between the two countries following the 1971 India-Pakistan War. Under this agreement, both countries committed to respecting each other's territorial and political sovereignty, resolving disputes through peaceful means, and promoting bilateral dialogue. The agreement was signed after the India-Pakistan War of 1971, which had resulted in the creation of Bangladesh and a significant shift in the political landscape of South Asia. The war had deepened tensions between the two countries, making a peaceful resolution and normalization of relations necessary. 1. Context before the Shimla Agreement. The 1971 India-Pakistan War. The 1971 India-Pakistan War was fought due to the Bangladesh Liberation War, which was supported by India. The war resulted in India defeating Pakistan and leading to the separation of East Pakistan, which became the independent country of Bangladesh. Following this war, there was a need for reconciliation and normalization of relations between India and Pakistan, leading to the Shimla talks. The war had left both nations in a state of deep hostility, and this agreement was aimed at stabilizing relations. After the war, the leaders of both countries decided to meet in Shimla to discuss how to resolve political and territorial disputes and create a framework for future cooperation. 2. Signatories of the Shimla Agreement. The Shimla Agreement was signed on 3 July 1972 in Shimla by the following leaders: Indira Gandhi, the Prime Minister of India; Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, the President of Pakistan. Additionally, the Foreign Secretaries of both India and Pakistan signed the agreement, focusing on peace and bilateral relations between the two countries. 3. Was the Shimla Agreement part of a greater agreement? The Shimla Agreement was a standalone agreement between India and Pakistan aimed at improving bilateral relations, ensuring regional peace, and addressing specific territorial issues, especially concerning Kashmir. While it was not directly linked to other major agreements such as the Indus Water Treaty, it was part of a broader post-war initiative to stabilize relations after the 1971 India-Pakistan War. This agreement primarily sought to address the Kashmir dispute, territorial integrity, and regional security issues between the two nations, independent of the Indus Water Treaty, which primarily dealt with water sharing between India and Pakistan. 4. Terms and conditions of the Shimla Agreement. The key provisions and decisions of the Shimla Agreement were: respect for sovereignty. Both India and Pakistan agreed to respect each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity. Pakistan acknowledged the independence of Bangladesh, and both countries confirmed the importance of respecting each other's territorial claims. The Kashmir issue. The Kashmir dispute was to be resolved through bilateral discussions between India and Pakistan, without the involvement of any third party, including the United Nations. This was a significant clause, as it emphasized that the Kashmir dispute would be resolved between the two nations, bypassing international mediation. Peace and security on the borders. Both countries agreed to maintain peace along their borders, particularly in Jammu, Poonch, and Rajouri regions, and to avoid any military escalation or border conflicts. Implementation of prior agreements. The Shimla Agreement reaffirmed the commitment to honor previous agreements, including the Lahore Agreement on various bilateral issues. Pakistan also requested the release of its prisoners from India, a request which was acknowledged by India. 5. Impact of suspending or annulling the Shimla Agreement. If the Shimla Agreement was suspended or annulled, the following impacts could be anticipated. Impact on India. Escalation of the Kashmir dispute. The Kashmir issue would likely escalate if the agreement were annulled, as bilateral talks would end, leading to a potential internationalization of the issue, which could make the dispute even more difficult to resolve. Increased border tensions. The agreement was a key instrument in ensuring border security and maintaining peace along the line of control, LOC. If it were nullified, tensions would rise at the borders, particularly in regions like Jammu, Rajouri, and Poonch, and the risk of armed conflict could increase. Impact on Pakistan. Loss of stability in relations. The Shimla Agreement marked a significant step towards restoring relations with India after the 1971 war. If it were suspended, Pakistan would lose a critical avenue for diplomatic engagement and peaceful resolution of disputes. Continued international pressure on Kashmir. If Pakistan chose to revisit the Kashmir issue in international forums, as it did before the agreement, it could face significant diplomatic pressure, affecting its relations not only with India but also with other global powers. Impact on economic and military security. The peace and cooperation fostered by the Shimla Agreement allowed Pakistan to focus on its internal development rather than constantly being engaged in border conflicts. Annulment of the agreement would put Pakistan's economic and military security at risk. 6 Incidents of suspension or violation of the Shimla Agreement. 1999 Kargil War. Despite the Shimla Agreement, the Kargil War in 1999 broke out due to Pakistani soldiers and militants infiltrating the Indian side of the Line of Control (LOC) in Kashmir. This conflict violated the spirit of the Shimla Agreement, which was supposed to maintain peace along the borders. The war ended with India regaining control of the territory, but the incident underscored the fragile nature of the peace established by the Shimla Agreement. 2001 Indian Parliament Attack. The 2001 Indian Parliament attack led to heightened tensions between India and Pakistan, with India accusing Pakistan-based militants of being behind the attack. Although this event did not directly breach the Shimla Agreement, it strained the relationship between the two countries and tested the limits of the agreement's peace-building efforts. 7. The Shimla Agreement and its relation to the Indus Water Treaty. While the Shimla Agreement and the Indus Water Treaty are two distinct agreements, they are indirectly related in terms of ensuring peaceful relations between India and Pakistan. The Indus Water Treaty, 1960, was an agreement on water sharing between India and Pakistan, primarily addressing the control of water from the Indus River and its tributaries. The Shimla Agreement, signed in 1972, focused more on territorial integrity and peaceful resolution of disputes, particularly the Kashmir issue. Both agreements emphasized diplomatic cooperation, but the Indus Water Treaty focused on natural resources, while the Shimla Agreement dealt with political and territorial disputes. If the Shimla Agreement were annulled, it could impact the Indus Water Treaty indirectly by heightening tensions and making future cooperation on shared resources more difficult, especially if disputes between the two nations were to escalate. Conclusion. The Shimla Agreement remains a cornerstone in the history of India-Pakistan relations. It was a significant attempt at post-war reconciliation and normalization, addressing critical issues such as Kashmir, border security, and bilateral dialogue. While it has had its share of violations and tensions, especially in the form of the Kargil War, it remains a critical framework for maintaining peace between the two nations. If this agreement were annulled or suspended, it would likely lead to a breakdown in diplomatic relations, an escalation in the Kashmir dispute, and a more volatile border situation, which could have far-reaching consequences for both countries.